start grind, etc., etc.
And you can check it out today. Look at that. Well, it's free.
Is it Startup Week that's coming up? If you want to.
It is Orlando Tech Week.
Orlando Tech Week.
Yeah, we don't need. Yeah, it's all good.
Can everybody hear me okay? I have a little voice, so if we can hear me, then we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have a problem hearing me, right? No. And that projects
I have
across
a
the
problem.
line.
But tell us, Orlando Tech Week, it's in...
Orlando Tech Week. If you go to orlandotechweek.com, you will see that it's October 6th to October 14th. The 6th and the 7th are actually pre-events in a way. So we're calling the Innovation Academy a kickoff event that is being organized largely by the Chamber, and it is really about all kinds of all sorts of emerging technologies. I'll just put it large. Sort of, when we say disruption, or when McKinsey says disruption, these are the technologies they're talking about. AI, machine learning, VR, AR, and how it's being applied across different platforms. And industries, blockchain, there's a really neat company that's doing some work both in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning and robotics and blockchain development. Something on that platform. I'm not sure which one, or whether there's an ICO involved, but you can find out at the Innovation Academy. There is a price to that ticket. I will probably have a discount code before the end of this week. Thank you, Irma, for pushing us back a little, but that's a really first world problem that we're having to struggle with. So I hope you all will forgive the fact we haven't gotten all that information out before, but really that's kind of easy, right?
Oh, it totally threw everything.
So I know that people are, I don't know if any of you, I hope all of you have recovered if you had any damage and that it was minor. We were very lucky in some ways around Orlando, but if you're in Altamont Springs or elsewhere, not so much. The land, even there are still parts that don't have power. So, and that's still a first world problem compared to Puerto Rico. So, right? Those of us, my friends from Orlando who don't have power, they drive in here and they can co-work. So 9 to 14 are the Orlando Tech Association events and other events as well. If you, can I do this promotion right now? If you have something that you want to organize in the next 2 weeks, or if you really have something that I don't know about and isn't on our schedule and it's tech forward, tech related, I would love to help promote it by putting it on our schedule and letting people know that it's happening. Don't worry that there's something else happening at the same time. I bet it's not the same audience. So we would love to include it. I'll give you the information later about how you just get that to me, but I just want to make sure if you know someone who's that way, we'd love to hear it. Brian,
and I'll post it on the Meetup page. With that said, I never do too much of an introduction because this is an hour-long introduction. This is Diane Court. She's the boss of Orlando Tech, and you probably see her everywhere at every event. I used to think she ran all of them, so including this one. So Diane, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., Bethesda, Maryland. Anybody from there? No. So, inside the Beltway, girl. That's me. And I went to school up in New Hampshire, in Hanover. When I finished high school, I went to college in Hanover, New Hampshire. A school called Dartmouth. And, but when I went, there were 250 of us, because we were the first class of the room to go in 1972, fall. It was an interesting exercise and an incredible experience overall. Then I spent some time living abroad, mostly in France. I taught and worked there, and I had a fellowship for a year, which was a really great way to live in Paris. And then I went back to Princeton for graduate studies. In comparative literature, it had nothing to do with anything I'm doing now except thinking about how we do things. I think we learn a lot in English and history and in literature when we want to figure out how we think about things. If there's something that combines us, sort of brings brings us all together. It's approaching things critically in terms of our thinking, asking the whys. We have to do that whenever we're investigating history or literature. So that's how I ended up in the tech world in a way, because I've always been a geek. So I moved back here. Actually, no, I moved back to DC after graduate school. And I was at all the dissertation kind of person because it was a terrible time to go into languages and literature in the late 70s. The average age of my professors were 52, so my tenure prospects at the time were pretty small. I ended up in television, and then the neat part of it, because I did satellite live broadcast for C-SPAN before they had cameras, which meant I had to fill a lot of airtime. Take a lot of call-ins from all over the country and figure out how to work that out. Had people talking about politics in the weirdest and sort of exciting way, in a very grassroots formation. Learn more about broadcast and how we could do coordinate training using satellite distribution. Not codecs, guys, not those 1.5s that look like this, but broadcast quality training. It was really wonderful to do it and really exciting. So I helped for a number of years companies set up, like FedEx, set up their own, that you couldn't do it without me either. Set up their satellite training. So when FedEx said, we're going to have a business television network that's going to go to all of our outposts everywhere in the world, I worked with their execs and their techs to put that together and to build out their studio and standard operating procedure. And also to help their producers figure out how they got around, it doesn't matter, this will tell you that it doesn't matter what field you're in, get around that production manager or just the manager of some other department who says, I got $40,000 I got to spend before the end of my budget here. So I want to make a film, a program, no idea what it was. So we worked on, learned a lot about how you help a client not waste their money. And then I was in that field through the late 80s. Okay, I just dated myself completely. You couldn't tell. Then I came down here and did events, Brian. That's really when I got into events, moving naturally from live television over satellite to live events. We know if you do that kind of programming, which is really strategic communications for anybody you're working with, with their large enough scale, that nobody dies in them. So I never let clients' anxiety become my anxiety, and that was a big lesson to learn. You can help them a lot. You can get them beyond that and help them think about where they want to go and what their outcomes are that they want, as opposed to this vision of a program or anything else. Anybody have that experience when they're building things for their clients? You know? Oh yes, we want this app and we want it to look exactly like this and do that. And you go, what do you want to do with it? And then you get into the same thing in a very different field. Raise a family. I'm married to an engineer, so geekiness is a prerequisite. Understanding techiness is a prerequisite, because if you can't figure out what the gazinas and the gazelles are on a piece of hardware, then you just don't cut it. So I had to learn those things and to want to find out. It actually helped me sort of want to learn new things and to test new tools and see how they can make it better. And that's kind of how I ended up saying I love the tech skills. I also loved working with companies to make them do well, to help them do well, but not that I knew how to do it. They were going to do the work, so I was working with their lives. So that's how I got here, and that's how I got into tech. I just said, my kids are grown, they were, and I wanted to be more rooted in this community. Where do I have a connection? I started going to 1 Million Cups, which at the time was run by Don O'Shea and Ron Benzie. Got to know them really well. I'd already been very involved as a marketer in social media, digital media, so I mean, sort of helping people understand social channels as bidirectional channels, not broadcast channels, in Twitter and Facebook, and how they might use it for both companies and people. I hate the word personal brand. I still do. I've never liked it. It is something that just always makes me cringe, but I know it's got to become common currency. How do you behave and how do you conduct yourself? How do you interact with people when you can't see them, right? And I think the work that I did when I was doing video conferencing, even though we could see them, but that it's still that virtuality of it, made it a lot easier for me and some people to move into social communications and how to use them strategically without shining out. So I had done that from the early 2000s and then took that with me as I came in here. There were some really neat people. We had Isaiah here, for example, that were really involved, and that just kind of led me into what I'm doing. By meeting people and being excited about what they're doing and seeing how I can help.
So what is, so there's been a lot of changes with the Orlando Tech recently. Than it's been in the past. There's like new directions, and the formats have been different. I spoke at panels, that was a lot of fun.
So that wasn't so different.
It was a little bit different. I heard there's different stuff with like demos, it's all over the place, and it's not just in one spot, which I personally like, but what do you see the role and how it relates to startups and entrepreneurs?
Well, when I came on board in January, I put out a survey, and I told everybody that answer. I put on every Slack I possibly could, and I got 100 answers. So, we had 100 interested people. And there were about 40 to 60 people in varying degrees that were frustrated. Now, these are people who regularly attended our meetups. So they were frustrated with the caliber of the meetups and of the demos and what they had become. It wasn't that they didn't like the idea, it was just that they kind of went, can we just not do them for a while? Can we do something different? And people wanted the chance to meet people and they felt like they weren't. There were a lot of things that requests were, we want a chance to network more. We want a chance to sort of learn what people are doing more. Now I also am in an alliance with the Chamber, and we realized that awareness was a really important part of what Orlando Tech should be doing for the tech community at large. If people say I want to meet people, and what I want to meet, the people I want to meet specifically isn't another developer or another starter sitting next to me. I mean, I want to meet them, but I want to meet somebody who might be interested in my services. So, hey, that kind of means not the tech community. So we needed to do something that hadn't really been done here, which was to start increasing awareness within the larger business community of the tech community and what we're doing, what's going on. We know all about Disney, we know all about Universal, and a lot about entertainment. We know what's going on in sports, and everybody knows who Magic is, and so on and so forth. And if you're me, you won't miss a game in purple and gold, right? So it's we realized that we were talking to ourselves, and that was probably something that Jim Thomas, with whom I work very closely, he's the executive director of the Chamber, I want you to realize we like being separate organizations when I say all of this, right? We don't want to be a Chamber entity, and he has absolutely no interest in moving in it, but he wants his stakeholders to be more tech forward, and his message is, if you're not, you will be left behind. I want them to come and find out what you guys are doing. But I also want you to find out what they mean. I mean, that's a great opportunity. So that's a part of how we changed what we were doing, is we realized even within our own community, there was a lack of awareness about the real diversity, opportunities, different areas in which innovation was happening. I mean, in a really true sense, like not just invention, but sort of within a whole sector, sort of a mindset that was different from traditional thinking. Nanotechnology would be a good example of everything that's happening down at Bridge. You see it now over, if you're talking about space tourism, we're no longer talking about how we think about the Space Coast, obviously, but how many people are, I mean, everybody knows that Elon Musk is over there, but Elon Musk is a Tesla, okay, fine, he launches things that come up and come down, and we get to use them again. But nobody really thinks about what these companies are doing. We're really thinking about what these communication satellites that OneWeb is talking. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff. And here we are, right next door, and we're not looking at it. And if it's our community, from my standpoint, we need to increase the connections among us, across in many ways. That network effect doesn't work unless we make those connections. So, now technology, health, everybody knows that Lakeland is supposed to be health, but okay, fine, you know, they have a fiber network, oh well, fine, I'm not in that, don't have to think about it. Yes, you do. And it should be interesting if you are a developer, you might find that there's a company out there that's looking for you. If you're in the Internet of Things, healthcare is a good place to be. So is space, so is, and so on. So that's why we changed that nature of those meetups. We wanted to sort of address a very different, larger audience, which I had this conversation with Dennis. There was a time when we had 200 people at those meetups, and those were just demos. They got really large when we first started, and then we had an attrition. One of the things that's inevitable with what happens is that you have people who feel neglected, people who feel like they're not getting credit, people who feel, we're always going to have that. But I felt it was really important to reach back out to them in a different way. Orlando Devs is a great example. It's an incredible group led by really great people, and they tend to talk. I was waiting for them to do those demos. I talked to people in there. I thought that that would be the natural place to do, what's the cool stuff you built this week? But that hasn't been their focus as much as really trying to educate and help their membership with cool tools to build those things. So, Wednesday of Tech Week, we will have a demo day again. And that demo day is not a pitch day. We will have pitches as well. I hope to partner with Dennis and others. There have been challenges with getting people engaged in those pitches, and so we really have to think about how we're going to do them right. And I think there are probably a lot of ways to do them right, but we need to sort of refresh how we think them and how we reach out to different parts of our community to engage them with those who are pitching, because it's not just a chance for people to stand up in front of the mirror and pitch. But a demo day is different. A demo is when you get to go, I have this piece of code and here's how far I've gotten. I have this app I did, but I've got a problem here. Or this is I'm really excited about this because it seems to work, and somebody goes, but why did you do this instead of that? And those are conversations I'm hoping we can start again next week, where it's more peer-to-peer, or people with the experience of what might interest people, but we're not talking about a business plan. We're talking about what we built and what we've built here. So that's one of the things we're changing. And instead of having it on the meetup stage that we've had, in part because that put people on a stage, right? Who weren't really ready to pitch. Some are really great. And if you're someone like Dennis and a few other people I know, you probably go, I don't care. I don't expect more than 1 or 2 out of 10 or 20. But for those, when I would talk to people who were coming, they said I lost interest because there was always another app or something, and they weren't putting it in. And those people weren't the ones that those demo pitchers were talking to. I really loved it myself, too, when we had things like Talon, groups like Talon come in, when Brandon came in, because then everybody got excited, and they did a great pitch. So I'd love to see us do that kind of thing again, where it's not just digital media, but it includes digital media, where engineers get to show off their stuff. That is part of Orlando Tech, right? Shouldn't engineers be involved as well? I don't know. I think so. We were started as a digital media main street, right? That's probably the biggest change in my mind, is that I think that is so limiting and unfortunate, because while digital media, and I'm not talking about digital media in the sense of VR and AR, I'm talking about when anybody writes software, well, yes, of course, that's the glue that holds it all together. There's not a piece of engineering right now that probably doesn't touch code somewhere, but we need to include everybody, or we are not going to be a community that really grows. And maybe we can sort of ignite some curiosity again about what's going on around. Don't we do that here, right? So the other thing is we're not a startup focused organization exclusively as we move forward. There are good reasons for that. Don't get me wrong, we really want to be there for our startups. And we have defined several stakeholders. Tech workers, that's really our first stakeholder, right? You guys, across the board. No matter how long you've been doing it, whether you just come in or you're a CTO, I don't care where you are in that career progression, but if you're touching tech, then you're that tech worker. Then we have what we'll call tech leaders or senior managers. They can be product managers. They don't have to touch the code. The CEOs, they may have touched it one time, but now they're very busy building a business. If we call them tech leaders, it's because they're really at growth stage or higher, looking to build out their companies, and they have certain needs and interest in growing that tech worker community, right? In retaining good talent here. Then there's tech supporters, co-working spaces, IP attorneys, accountants who understand what we're looking for. You can see where we're going. So it's really across the board. And finally, educators. Those are tech educators. Those are our four main stakeholder groups. And I think all of them are really interested in sort of building up and growing that and attracting new great talent and attracting and retaining good tech workers. Those are creatives, technologists, I don't care where you are, if you're in this industry or if you're in this sector across the board, you touch that in any way, you're that tech worker. And I know people get a little prickly when someone says, oh, well, we're missing talent in our window. Well, the truth is we are trying to fill jobs at a certain level, and we're having a hard time doing it. And that means we have to bring people in or bring people up, right? And actually both. So that level is the 5 to 10 year, sort of mid to senior level. We've got lots of entry level. We've got people around like Dennis, who could run it from the top. It's the people like Dennis are saying, I need that in between, man. I need that in between. So that's how I'm going to grow, because they need somebody to run the departments that can bring people. That's what we want to address, is how do we create an environment? How do we as Orlando Tech serve you guys to create an environment, by creating an environment that makes you want to stay. You don't want to go out to Denver like some people I know, right? And leave. Oh, as I tell everybody, some people leave, some people come. We call that open innovation. It goes right across the firewall. It takes something good out. Somebody brings something good back. Otherwise, we all get stale. But we want that flow in to be faster than the flow out. So that's really our new focus, because there are catalysts, and there are venture scale-ups, and there are campuses, and there are Credo conduits, and there is the new social enterprise accelerator at Rollins, which Mark Brewer is doing. It's a really exciting program run by Ben Hoyer. There are great programs already for starters. There are great programs for university starters out of UCF, good programs at Rollins. We don't need another organization focused on starters. We're going to help starters as part of that ecosystem. Okay? So we're going to now focus a little differently. Second part is, let's face it, starters are not going to sustain this organization. They simply can't. They don't have the time. They don't have the wherewithal. And if they're even a little farther along, let's say you're a really cool company that's growing fast in an incubator, who's going to come out to my meetup on how they run the incubators when they're already working 60 to 80 hours a week? Seriously. And why would I expect them to? That's what I want to help them do. I want to make it easier for them, but they're not going to have time or resources. Every penny they've got is going back into the business, right? So let's face it, from a purely financial standpoint, in order to provide the services we want to serve, I've got to look to established companies that are interested, share my interest, our interest as an organization and as a community to build this out. So we're going to be looking to growth stage companies, educational members and supporters, and who really want to help build that and who have a real interest to help me, or my successor, and the staff as we grow, to deliver the services that we're looking for.
And I wanted to dig in a little bit more with that. So in terms of like accelerators and incubators, is there really a one size fits all? Like if you're starting up, if you're, I know you see a lot of things happening with Starter Studio or just scale up. Is there some way that people should be like vetting which one to invest time into or look into? Does size matter? Does industry matter? Does team size matter?
When you buy a house, is there a one size fits all? And by the way, your criteria are different, right? When you go buy a house and I go buy a house, we may like the same house and we may bid against each other, but our criteria actually, we're coming at it from two different directions, right? So they're not the same criteria, but if you don't, it's shame on you if you don't investigate and really consider which one of those incubators is right for you and why. And I hope you're talking with good mentors as well, and if you're a company with a board of advisors and a board, that they are engaged, because you will have probably some advisors somewhere along the way if you're more than one. Right? So there is no one size fits all. But look, we don't have a food accelerator yet. If you go to New York, do you know how niche their accelerators are? That's a huge dense market. We don't have that. So it seems like they're all the same, but they're not. And they're not because the personalities of those running it are different, because the skill sets and the talents and the knowledge of those running them are different, and to a lesser extent, because it is a small community and we do know each other well, the mentor network that you have access to in either one is different. But the good news, by the way, is because we really are in the same town, I find that people who work in one, they're not interested in taking sides. They're looking for a place where they can grow their business. And so they're very likely to come over here and find time to meet people here. And I certainly would encourage them if they're coming from campus and vice versa, or going to Congress. If they are a social enterprise and they're not talking to the Ben player, who's the only game in town right now in that field, not forever, but for right now, he really is someone who has been the most forward and can introduce you to anyone else who's doing that, right? So it'd be crazy. Why would you not talk to that person? Doesn't matter whether you're starting up here and you're working from here, you're working from campus, you're working at another, there are 3 campuses now, so you're working from co-lab. If you're at co-lab, you're probably farther along. But you're looking for a different sort of, you've got your mentor network in your advisory board, right? Because it's just the nature of the way that one's set up. It's up multiple floors and it's harder to get to, whereas even though Catalyst is on the 5th floor, it's like really easy. It's downtown, you know, and much more is going on. There's activities. Dennis has a lot of things like doing it. So it's more out in the world. Whereas if you really don't want that and you want more of an incubator style, just to talk about a co-working space, co-lab is probably a much better place because then you'll have people constantly walking past your desk all the time, right? How can anybody suggest that they're all the same? I think the best part about it, and the more we get, this is something Dennis and I hardly agree on, the more we have in there, the more we can as an ecosystem encourage that opportunity for growth. It is look, these co-working spaces is tough. You would never see me get into it. I think it's one of the toughest business models out there. In an environment like Orlando, not everywhere, but here. Okay? And not just because of, some of the conversations we've had, but it's just a tougher place. Rents around here are different than they are in Miami or on co-working spaces. It's not as dense a community, right? Groundswell is struggling too, by the way. Does anybody know what Groundswell is? Okay, Groundswell is a really cool co-working space, and the guy who's running it now used to run Domi Station. In fact, he pretty much started it up in Tallahassee. Great space, and they have very similar challenges to what we have, even though they have their own little ecosystem out there. Right? So it's also, but they offer a lot of similar things too. How to get your business going, founders talks. I think we all want to see that everywhere now. answer. I told you I thought that was an interesting question, but I want you to clarify. For what?
Well, so people have done this in other startup running groups. They ask it, well, yes, but you need to have the right people to talk to. You need to have a coach when you do this, or
So crowdfunding for a startup. Okay. Because remember, well, I just wanted to make sure that because what I think about crowdfunding is who's doing crowdfunding. And there are lots of different crowdfunding platforms, right? There's Kickstarter, there's Indiegogo, hi, I'm going to crowdfund money for my sick grandmother. And hey, that's really a great thing that we have that there. That's nothing to do with startups, that's what I thought.
in relation to, I guess,
So,
startups.
but people do go there. So I think one of the things is, I think the point being that the platform matters, okay? It also matters what you're doing. Yes, you have to have your mentors and PAs and everything, but I think, I'm a marketer, so when I think of crowdfunding, it's a marketing campaign. That means you have to have a really clear way of defining your product or whatever service you are going to offer. You also can't just go, I think I'm going to launch a Kickstarter tomorrow, and I'll pick 30 days, I want $50,000, I got exactly what I'll give people for prizes. As a marketer, I'm conservative on crowdfunding in that regard. I say you better have some of your money already in the corner. I usually recommend the third, especially if it's large. One of the reasons I don't think we were successful, I think we were successful, but we set a very high mark. We did crowdfunding, but not for a startup. It was because Greg was so successful, Greg Potter, had done several Kickstarters very successfully to get kickstart his companies and products. And so I figured that's easy. We'll do it for this group of organizations. And needless to say, the message is far more amorphous than when you say, I have a service that will do this. I have a code tool that will teach you this in so many days. Right? We're talking about four very different organizations, a fund, a co-working space, and an infant association. And you're trying to figure out how they all fit together in this. It's a group. All right, that idea, crowdfunding. If you don't plan it out, and don't prepare a 3-month plan, it's something that, who knows what Trovo the robot, who knows Trovo the robot? Good. Glad some people do. That just tells us how short our collective memory is. That's only like 2 years ago that they did their crowdfunding. They started a startup weekend, not a startup grind, but a startup weekend. There's one of those in November. I'll put it in here. Let's do it right, so I'll throw that in. That's what we do. We like to promote everything. The startup weekend that I went to as a player, not a mentor, was really cool. That's what they were knitting up felt, sewing it up. Were you a mentor in that one? Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And they didn't win either. But they were, shortly afterwards, the one who went out. It's a robot where Chris Hardman, if you know him, he does the stories and the designs. They will tell you, they have told the story 1,000 times. They didn't think about the fact that 3 months to plan their communications and their promotions, and everybody involved, and the money that they wanted to be the wings. So what you do with crowdfunding transcript, I need $50,000. And wow, all of a sudden, the third day, they got 20 of it, which they got 3 months ago. Okay, or over the previous 3 months. That's how you crowdfund. I think that's a good idea. But you better be ready to start your work in your family and friends funding before you put it up on Kickstarter. Or it will be very, very hard. Not impossible, but very, very hard to succeed. What a lot of people find out is they do it once, and then 18 months later, because this is the Kickstarter rule, they come back and do it again with a much better campaign. So, yeah, you learn marketing the hard way, you learn fundraising the hard way, you learn crowdfunding the hard way. I think it's a great thing as long as you've got a clearly defined product. done your planning, and you've got realistic.
So, with your role in Orlando Tech, you've been involved in like starting studio, you scale up the events heavily. Do you ever see teams perform differently or struggle differently as like a team versus like a single entrepreneur?
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
Yes, I think there are people who work very well as single entrepreneurs, and there are obviously a crossover problem. But single entrepreneurs have no feedback except their own second self. And it's you yourself and you. You myself and I situation. And when you're first trying to test something out or build something, sometimes that's fun. It's very hard over time to grow something like that. Right, we talked about this a little, without other input. So it's especially important for a single entrepreneur to have a really strong advisor mentor. It's true for everyone, by the way. Difference is, at least this, when you have a team, it's really important that if you're really thinking of building a company, a startup that you really want to scale, those three people who are together need to have really solid agreement about what's going to happen when one of them gets offered a job he can't refuse. Or another one says, I have my former partner in San Francisco wants me to come out and work there, and I have always wanted to go back there. Now you're down to one again, by the way. So yeah, they have different ones. But so it's very important that they decide how they're going to move forward in those habits, how they're going to fall apart. That's also true when they're actually, they won't necessarily get funded unless they have. It's sort of a prerequisite. Investors really like to see that you're set up as an organization that's serious about how you're going to grow and how you're going to take care of everybody. So those aren't questions you have to think about until you build a staff. So there's the biggest example of teams. I think the one thing they have in common is they really need to talk to everybody. They need a strong advisory team, a board, if that's the case, and mentors that they trust. They also have to realize that in many cases they'll get 6 different opinions. So again, challenge for a team. They need to be good at negotiating where their next step is, and they have to make decisions. They can't just sit there without. Then I got 5 choices, and I don't know which one to pick. They have to pick one. Test, fail, test, iterate, whichever way it's going to be. And that is true with both of them, but it's complicated with the teams. On the other hand, you've got that sort of richer input when you start.
And you're coming from a very interesting perspective where you're trying to educate and inspire business owners, business communities, entrepreneurs, and startups. So from a startup and entrepreneur perspective, be it 1 million cups pitches or accelerator programs or just trying to network in general or do demos, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you kind of see those types of people make?
Over-preparing or under-preparing. Very simple. I think the biggest mistakes we make are we overthink, or we don't give ourselves a strategy where we can follow forward, and we know when we failed or when something's hidden, right? It's really hard. I think it's really hard when you don't have some kind of structure. And you sometimes, I think most of the folks that I've seen who have survived, who was talking about launch and had, where there's sort of you launch and you grow, that process of starting and growing. And he was talking about it. I don't know. Sitting over there. He was mentioning the challenge in Miami, high startup failure. They never get past a certain point off. I mean, we all know that 80% of startups fail. We take that as something we understand when we do something we're passionate small elementary school. I also see people get started and then because they don't have a plan, that they can change along the way. When it doesn't work, they don't have a plan, so they can't move forward. They can't go out. They don't have an idea of whether they need a team or not. I've seen that a lot. It's not in the demo world. It's not in those who come in here. I think one of the challenges they have is when, again, we go back to somebody on the team leaves. I've seen a lot of companies like this is not an Orlando. This is true of startup anywhere. Somebody leaves and that company leaves out. And that's the person who remains, figures out how they're going to rebuild. By adding someone on or pursuing them. And it's not how it's figured it out and how you got to do it.
And then additionally to that, do you see any like successes or steps to success that you think can be replicated regardless of industry that you have seen?
What can startups do well?
Steps that can be replicated, so like whether it's like what's still the example would be like always going to a meetup of some sort, or another one would be like always making sure you have a mentor in place, or
I'm going to sound like
some
a
of
broken
those are just
record.
very general, but are there any ones that you've seen that are unique to your
I think
organization?
from the time you can articulate your idea, also I think you need to be working on defining what it is you're doing and constantly testing that with your audience base. So this is not a step that can be replicated in the normal sense, but it's a serious rule of thumb. It doesn't matter who your end user or customer is, whether it's a business or a consumer. You need to early on design and test that. Be customer-centric. I don't mean making it pretty for the customer. I mean human customer focused in terms of the value you provide to that user. And there are steps you can ask. You need to constantly ask. Not what does my customer say he wants, but what is my customer doing? Where are the pains and gains? So they start to ask that value proposition. I think something that's a great guideline. You don't have to use the value proposition tool or business model canvas, but having tools like that, and there are, Steve Blank has in there, Greece have a whole set of tools you can use. Alex Osterweiler has them, and I wouldn't do them in a corner by yourself. Test it, take it out to people. These are things that, these are generic steps, but they're important. Don't try to build that whole company on baked cookies that your mother said she loved, and think you're going to have a company when you try to give somebody that cookie and you find out everybody thinks it's not the best whole house they ever had. Okay? So, do they need another whole house? Yeah. So if you're doing something that they've already got, I know, my favorite one is something that Rollins students do every single term when they go through the entrepreneurship program. They go, we're going to do car parking for undergraduates. I've got a car parking service. Two things to do. A laundry service, as you can tell this is Rollins, right? Laundry service somebody's going to pay for, and parking their car. What do we tell them? Go out to UCF and see how well it's going to park. Completely different customer base. Is it really a viable business? Well, kind of, sort of, maybe. Except that everybody every year at Rollins is coming up with this exact thing. And that's great, because somebody said, I can never find a parking space. That's the business all do. Right? But in the end, they find out that really nobody's going to pay them enough to make it work. Not for them, because they're going to spend all their time running around parking cars, not doing the work and coming out of school. And it's just, they're not going to make enough money with this model, and they haven't thought of it. So when they get a chance to do it, and they realize they can't, the customer isn't going to pay enough to make it good for them, because it's too low. Not that the customer doesn't want it. I want somebody to give me to park my car, but not for $15. I'll pay you 50 cents. Will that work? Oh, never mind. I'll go find a space. So that's probably the most important thing for me, from my standpoint, as a mentor, is are we looking at what the customer, not just what the customer has a need or has a pain, how important is that? How important is solving it for them? Because if it's not real, like if they can live with that pain, you can have the best way of solving that in the world. So you can test those. You can go out and do that customer discovery. That is probably the most important thing. By the way, it's not replicable in the sense that the question is the same every time. But the process of identifying the customer, who's going to be your first doctor, and then testing whether you're actually going to deliver something, it'll change your product. How many times have you all seen somebody who comes out with this great, oh, we're going to give this to consumers? I don't know, maybe something like a video banking app that will help millennials become more financially literate and save money. And that very same app is now using the data they got from that bot and millennials to go to banks and go, great data we got here, we can be your customer-facing bot. But we're talking to the bank if that's who's going to be interested. That's a little. And what did have that not happen? Because they're customer discovery. They realized that the people who really had a need were not the people, the millennials, who were going to sit there and do that on their phone, but the banks, the institutions that could actually use that technology far more effectively, put more into the development and make it far more sophisticated, use the data well, and serve the customer better. So, okay.
So for those of us that are doing side projects or starting up in Orlando, what would you say in your opinion that they can leverage here that they can't necessarily have as easy access to in other cities?
Yeah, I think we really agreed on that, is that it is a smaller community, and it is something, if you go to start a friend, I mean, you say you thought that I ran all of them joke, but because I showed up with that. Well, shoot, I would heartily recommend that to anyone if you're trying to discover things or learn things, and if I will go back to my talk to everyone rule, that is also replicable, because as hard as it is for some people to talk to somebody else, it's a skill you gotta learn. You've got to be able to talk to people about what you're doing and get feedback on it. Find out if they think it makes sense. Some people's opinions, because they are opinions until they've really gone beyond that. They're very informed opinions, so you can decide whether that's going to help you as much as somebody else's opinion, right? But you go and you meet people. You're going to discover somebody who is looking for what you're doing. You may discover your next partner, and that is something you can do here, probably easier than a lot of other places. You can also do it consistently. You can sort of build a real relationship. It's no joke that it's hard to do that in the city. It really is hard to do that in a dense population, because you don't know unless you make arrangements to do so, you're going to see the same person. Chances are pretty good. If you share interest here, you're going to find relationships. And that's a great thing. You can leverage that. Also, if you look around, you can find resources that are, I would say, more community friendly here. There may not be as many resources, but they're also not as heavily taxed by demand. So if you're a student, let's just take that example, like UCF. I mean, there are programs that are geared to you, but then when you leave that community, you can still go back, and they actually turn to you to help those coming behind you. So again, another thing I find is the sort of people who have someone they work with on the shoulder, not in the best sense, you know. It's not just a secret handshake who you know. It's actually, hey, I know somebody that would really be helpful. I find people here in Orlando to be better connectors of other people. So if I'm talking to Dennis and something comes up, he says, oh, have you talked to well, people are really quick to send that email to help you take the next step. They'll open the door. They can't do it for you, but they can open the door. And I think that happens more here than in other places because we've developed those personal relationships faster in here, more in the States. As disparate as our larger tech community is, you see us over there, how many people you know, lots of folks, you see us, listen to their business. Then you can say the same about Full Sail if you went to UCF, or we don't really mix well with those different, but it's amazing how if it's not even 6 degrees, it's like 3 degrees in this boat. So if you do need that help, you can make it by asking someone if they know someone else. Like, I don't get here, you can talk to someone. That is a great thing. Sure, it might be someone who's the founder of a much more impressive company in your own mind, in a city where that company exists. We don't have a lot of really substantial size. How many Fortune 100s are there here? Headquartered here. I don't even think Harris is Fortune 100, right? See? So yeah, we can't do that. We don't have the density of Boston. We have relationships that are pretty unique.
So I've heard, at least in the communities I'm involved with, a lot of complaints on drawing talent to Orlando. So in your opinion, do we even need to, or should like have, or like what do you think is lacking on drawing some here? Is what can we improve on, like as a community or as an association?
Well, as an association, I consider it's incumbent upon us to improve that situation. As I mentioned, we've got great talent. We've got great talent, again, where our best talent is sort of as they come out. And I'm not saying, oh, we should be comparing ourselves, let's not do this. Compare ourselves to, Palo Alto or MIT, Harvard, and we've got 3 different universities that why? Research valuable. I mean, why are you going to say, oh, do we look like the Duke community? No, we don't. But we have a much more interesting startup community actually right now, whether or not that's successful. And entrepreneurial, I think, in a larger way. Much more diversified. So, that's great, except that we're missing that military talent that is so vital to growing companies. And it's a serious challenge. I don't want to call it a problem. It's something we just have to address because there's a lot of flight. It's really tempting after 5 years working here at Orlando pay rates. And somebody in Chicago says, hey, we're going to pay you $175,000. You go, oh, wait, I'm going there. Now, nobody's thought about what the cost of living is. Well, they do when they get there. But there may be other things that draw them there, and that's inevitable for some people. But face it, that is a challenge. We will always face that. We are not Chicago, we're not Boston, we're not San Francisco, and we don't want to be. What we are going to do is build a community that's going to grow. In a smaller town until Orlando is larger, and I'm not sure that's what we want either. So, having said that, we need to find a way that, like Minneapolis is doing, they've got some of the similar challenges. Pittsburgh less so, they're a little farther along. Cleveland and Cincinnati have done some interesting things. We can learn from that, okay? We don't have the resources that we can offer. I'm really tired of people saying, well, hey, people should love coming here because there's no taxes. There's no taxes in Austin, Texas either, personal taxes, guys. So please don't tell me that's the great secret advantage for bringing people here. And it's about the same cost of living. It's a little more expensive there. But, so why are we missing what they've got? In part, it's the number of years they've been at it. It's in part because they drew VCs from Chicago and elsewhere, so there's just a different makeup. We've got to stop comparing ourselves and figure out how we're going to fill that talent gap effectively by building a place that people want to come to live. And that is, when I say my first stakeholder group is tech workers, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to keep people here, and I want to attract people to come here. Because they want to work with you, and me, and Dennis. I've got to make people realize that there's an incredible group of people here, which is usually what people know, as well as great resources from a research standpoint, from an opportunity to develop things on a commercialization basis. That's what we need to promote, and we haven't done that, right? So that people who want to work with that, those are the people we want to draw. We want them to come here and stay here. It is a great place to raise a family. That's also the other thing, the people I saw later on. I did that. But it's not enough to tell people that. They've got to have a reason to believe there's going to be a community like the one that we're trying to grow and that's represented here, that's going to welcome them and give them a place to find a job or build a company, or maybe both. So I think that's not just a narrative question, how do we market ourselves, but that's part of it, because we really got to find our voice to get that and get that out there. And we can learn from others and how they've done that. I think that's part of what I'm working on. What's been successful elsewhere? Not to compare us, our community to them, but figure out why that worked and is there an analog for us?
And this is actually my last question for my Google question. With regard to raising funding here, do you see a difference or any, I don't know, your thoughts on, some people have said like it's easier to get the investors here in Orlando because they're more attracted to like tangible products versus tech products sometimes in other larger cities. I've heard that with some of our guests we've had here. I know like Night Runner said that it was easier to get it here and nobody else was very interested. We've had other people say opposite things. Do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't have enough knowledge to really. Well, female founders, that's a phenomenon that we face. Female founders just statistically get a really small portion of funding dollars anywhere. So it's a challenge for us as women who are building organizations and overall to do. And that has to do, I mean, by the way, there are some women investors and VCs now who are targeting women founders, but if that's not the case, it's amazing how many women as investors are exactly the same as the men who are their partners in terms of who share the same unconscious or conscious biases that make those decisions. That's a different cultural change. So, and I don't think that women may or may not have a harder time here. I just can't speak to that. I've heard a lot of people say, and it's across the board, it's exactly what you said. People have tried, Dennis and I have had long conversations about this. Why the heck is it so hard for people to find money? And there are a lot of contributing factors. It is harder to raise money here than in San Francisco. I told you the Jonathan Taylor story. Now, granted, this was 15 years ago, but Jonathan's story is a great one. He's also a great salesman. And that's never a bad thing when you're looking for money. He also knew what he needed. He knew this, again, one of the most customer-centric people you'll ever meet. So when he said, we had the idea what that became Voxeo when it did, but at the time it was more an idea and a prototype. 3 engineers, or by the time they were done, I think it was even larger. There were 14 founders of Voxeo by the time they were in business, but that's a lot. So he said, we go to they're in Silicon Valley, so they're in San Francisco. Easy money, especially, this is before the crash, so early aughts, right? To go in and ask, but they figure, we're just going to ask for $3 million, that's what we need. So they go and ask for $3 million. They got laughed out of the room. Why? I got $100 million that we got to invest somewhere. I mean, cash to burn, we don't have time for no single $3 million investment. We're working with 30, 35, $50 million investment. So what does Jonathan Taylor and his team go? Not to be discouraged, they go back, they rewrite their deck. They didn't change the product at all, they rewrote the deck. They go back out and said, we'd like $35 million. That's a true story. So, you can't do that here. You're not going to get $3 million. And it's not because you're a tech company, or I don't believe that that's the statistic. I don't have the statistics, so I can't speak to that, but I'll throw it out to who our investor base is, what their risk comfort level is. It tends to be very risk averse. That's part of why you might think that tech companies give us. But hey, night runner is not a given, right? It's not quite saw it on TV. Right? So you can't use that. We do have a risk averse base here. We haven't attracted investors from elsewhere that are partnering. We started to. There's Kiranaga's here. There are some other investment firms that are sometimes setting up base here. We've got a couple of, Arsenal is sort of kind of home in a way to Dennis, so it's been around a while. There's some newer ones, Benvella is more recent, but it's the engineers that founded it have been around a long time. There are angel investment organizations that you probably are familiar with, FAN and Nexus. There's an effort from UCF in particular to really encourage that. But we don't have a financial sector, for one thing, that you have in New York, San Francisco, or Chicago, or even Boston, that's going to facilitate that kind of growth. And we also don't have 3 to 4 generations of founders like Jonathan Taylor, who is starting to do that, who are here to do that. When you got Fairchild, they got HP and 3 others and 15 others, and then they all, exited and started something else, and they exited again, and they go, oh, I'll put the money back in because I can make a whopping amount if I throw enough spaghetti in the wall, and I am being facetious. But seriously, you have to have that kind of network to even look like Silicon Valley, so stop trying, right? It's not because it's this kind or that kind. We've got to learn to talk to our investors. And we need to present a viable reason for investors who are based elsewhere to come here and look at us. We're only starting to do that, and we get really impatient. But we are a relatively young ecosystem by comparison to those larger cities. We just have to be realistic about it. That is not to say we're not going to grow and be really successful, and we could see a hyper growth if we figure out the secret. I don't know what it is. I don't think any of us know what it is, or we'd be on it. So, the serious answer is
Still a mystery.
it's not a mystery, but it is. And I think what I like about this environment right now, the reason I really love being involved, is that there's so much to test, try out. It's new. We're constantly opening doors. We're banging our heads against walls. We're doing all kinds of things. And that means we really get to make this place happen. And we can give up and walk away and take our toys home, or we can stay in the game. And I'm excited to see you guys here because that means there are people who are really serious about staying in the game.
Diane, what's something I can't Google about?
Oh, let's see. How about I'll read the fact that I lived in a castle in the Dolomite in Italy that now belonged to the grandson of Ezra Pound, who was the daughter of Ezra Pound. And Hemingway lived in the other apartment. How about that?
Real life princess.
It was.
Questions?
Pavel!
Yes, ma'am. First off, thank you so much for getting on that chair. It's on so many other chairs, so it is much appreciated. The question I had, if in one word, if you could change anything about tech community, Central Florida, what would it be?
Getting engaged, not giving up. That's not one word. That's what I would do. Not expecting things to come to them, but being part of making it happen.
So I have one thought, obviously, you and I talked about it. I'm passionate about events and stuff, particularly with tech community. And my thinking was, one of the things I noticed as somebody who came here recently was there's a lot of potential for that here in the city, but what I see is that everybody I talk to country, and if they ever come here, the event is out in the parks. And
Or
so they
the
never
convention center.
see, so what you want them to see, to get to know the community and potentially think of this as a place to live and work, is something that they don't see because we can't get them to say, come to an event for tech people that's in the city.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's, look, I lived out just by those parks. I still do live outside over by Universal and Shingle Creek, and lived in Dr. Phillips for a very long time. And I thought, why would I come down now? About 10 years of my life. Literally, why go downtown? You know, I was just living, and the only reason I said I wanted to go downtown is that I realized there were no roots to grow in the suburbs when I lived in Boston. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs, but that's not my mindset. It's like, I need community engagement. Okay? You're right. And I worked those parks, and I did events all along I drive at those hotels. And when people would say to me, oh my God, it's so cold here. Why didn't you tell me what to wear? I said, you know that every hotel meeting room is 68 and dark. That is the temperature and the weather 365 days, right? So it's true. They never see what's cool here. Now, I will say 20 years ago, it wasn't so cool downtown. We really got a new sort of culture that's developed, which is very vibrant and young. It's not just millennial though, that's really exciting. You can see it across decades. So the boomers like me and millennials and Ys and X's and everybody's there. And there really is something growing. And that is part of what we want. But I also want them to feel comfortable if they want to move to Hawaii or anywhere else and drive in. That's cool too. Live in Winter Park, live in Sanford. Josh Snyder, who's biz dev guy for Power VMS, he loves up in Sanford, so do a lot of people. You're right that they don't, people coming in, because we don't invite them to come to our events. Well, that's changing. I had lunch today with someone from Brooklyn who was working, I don't know if any of you know what Consensus is. It was founded by the co-founder of Ethereum, and he's actually in Orlando, and he moved to Brooklyn because he wanted to do more work in blockchain. But what he really wants to do is bring it back here because he thinks there's a lot of potential here for developing things on the blockchain, different blockchain platforms. And when I'm talking blockchain, I'm not talking Bitcoin as effective currency. I'm talking about for supply chain, for finance in a different sense as a platform for transactions that are secure, and so on. So healthcare, I mean, we can just right across the board, and that's what Ethereum really was all about as the platform. So here's somebody who's looking to come back in with people who, he said, there just wasn't any interest here. So when I say I want people to get engaged, I would love to sort of, sometimes I want to shake people and say, yeah, I know what you're doing is really interesting. There's a lot of cool things around, and if you really want to meet people, they're not going to walk up to you. When people say to me, how do I get to know those folks at Lockheed or Harris? I don't say go to Dennis because he's been there. I say, we need to figure out why they should care about us. Because if we don't do that, there is no, I mean, I can do tech matches all day long. I can do a tech match event and say, here's Verizon, here's, if you haven't got something they want, and you haven't thought about what they want, why should they come here? Why should even our own companies come? So that is a question, that's not, part of it's sort of having a way and a face, and not just a narrative, but communicating what we have out there. And I think that's happening more. And by the way, I think that's one of the best reasons when people do go and take a job someplace else, because it's not all negative about what they left. Right? They do really, really do the best things. And certainly on the phone can help you. So I just think part of it is we want it to happen so quickly, and it's just not going to. We can make it happen faster if we do things and work together. And you guys have ideas that you think Orlando Tech can participate in. You and I know I want to talk with you more about some of that. Because I want to make sure that Orlando Tech can't be just event-based. It can't be a series of events, very episodic, like using Don Quixote, you know? That really would be tilting a windmill. So we don't want to just do one event and another event or a series of events, but you only go to these events and you don't go to those events. That's not how you build an ecosystem, a community. And ultimately, I think our role in tech is to build community and to sort of enable that community. It's not just to enable startups, but it's also to enable startups. It's actually a way to connect starters with people who've already built businesses. And those who've already built strong businesses who are looking for startups they want to partner with to do that. To do things like getting Florida Hospital and others that have innovation labs to do more. This is just something, I'm going to throw this out here, because it's something I've wanted to do and I haven't quite figured out where the partnerships are. I'll just put it out there. Anyone here know what Incentive is? Or who they were? Especially 2007, 2011, sort of these innovation challenges to deal with sticky problems. This is the company that actually built, their business model was going to large organizations that had serious organizational or product challenges or marketing challenges, or it could be a communication challenge, or maybe they want to put a rocket on the moon. I mean, it could be any number of things. They went, vetted those challenges that they wanted, and then literally this is not crowdfunding, this is crowdsourcing, and encourage people to build teams. So when you think about how teams get formed at a hackathon, think of it on a much larger scale. So a biologist has very different skills than a mechanical engineer, than a software programmer, than a marketer, and all four of them may come together in one of these challenges when you're trying to deal with a problem, because they share an interest in solving it. And what happens is you get a sort of a challenge statement, and you put it out there. It's a great way to discover what startups, probably maybe more early stage than early startup, right, that have the capacity to answer these challenges. But I'd love for us to be able to sort of partner with the larger organizations. It could be Lockheed for that matter. I just haven't met anyone that. It could be Harris, maybe some of the newer companies out there, and say, what's your big challenge that we can put out? And you run sandboxes. Right? What they're going to do, it's not going to be necessarily pretty, but it is a great opportunity nonetheless. I mean, some people can say, I'm not going to give all of that up to them. Well, yeah, that's the whole idea, right? You're solving their problem. You're essentially working for them. But I mean, so you do that, and you do it, there's a fee negotiated, everybody gets something out of it. And you take it, it's a great way to pull people together from across a continuum. And to get those bigger organizations there, like a health or a hospital, the Disney even, although they already hold challenges with the party. I'd love to be able to get more of that going on. And it's often those with innovation. RBC has an innovation lab. I'd love to get people working on it. You don't have to be in finance to work on a challenge like that. So that's the kind of program that's not event-based that I'd love to see us get to now. I wish I could do that tomorrow. Anybody interested in that, talk to me. We'll figure out how we get that moving forward.
Any more questions?
How do you convince your boss to build Hyperloop for Mac?
Say that again?
How do you convince your boss to run Hyperloop for Mac?
I told him that there would be no I can't even finish this thing. I can't do that with a straight face. Thank you. Yeah, because Elon Musk is in some space companies. He obviously has an interest in some space. Nobody in his organization ever gets to breathe, so I don't want anybody complaining about your hard work, okay? It's just the way he works. Jeff Bezos is the same way, by the way, and notoriously so. But look what they do. And he's out there as well. And now there's an opportunity. It's a wild card. And nobody should go, oh, we got it in the bag, nor should they say we shouldn't even bother. There's not every reason to do it. It's only for the practice of giving them that opportunity for having manners on high school district, right? That, it has, so we don't make it. So it's the people that come together to work on that, figure out what we don't have, and now have a way of articulating what we need. So, but don't tell me there's no interest in, I mean, a few years ago, Jason Kalkanis, everybody knows who he is, right? To a few people, but not here. And he said anytime he got a request from an Orlando company, he threw it in. That is not the case anymore. Not just with him, but I mean, if Musk is here and putting something in, there's a reason. You've got Branson looking at how it could be in Florida. Even if it's not here, it doesn't matter, guys. It's, in the end, these are all good things for us. It's just not going to be, we're not going to be Silicon Valley. We're not going to be Chicago right now. It's just not going to happen. But we're going to be something really, we're building something really great if we continue.
Anybody else?
That's my optimism side. I'd like people to be realistic about where we are.
You spoke some about it, with the attrition of talent happening in Orlando, and I witnessed that personally where some of the very most brilliant software engineers and electrical engineers I've known have moved out to California and other places. I don't know that you have the answer, but I'd love to hear more discussion about how.
I don't have an answer of how you're going to keep the top 5% here because, hey, you don't go through 4 years of computer science and then get your master's and maybe your doctorate. Working with really talented people at UCF or someplace else, without somewhere in the back of your mind going, if Microsoft came tomorrow, I'd take that. You know? I mean, the fact is, we always sort of go, oh my God, the cashier working for Google. And besides, the money seems really good until you try to buy a house up there. Look, guys, it's $2 million to buy the equivalent of maybe a 4-2 in Colonial. That is the price of housing out there. So when somebody says they're going to pay you $200,000, you better really want to work for that company, which, by the way, is the reason they go, and share housing, because they really do want the opportunity to work with that. That'd be like saying, how could people go to Harvard when they're accepted? Why would anyone who wants to be an engineer go to MIT? It's not that UCF isn't a great school, which, by the way, if you saw U.S. Visionary World Report, we got very good ratings. We're like 26 in the most innovative. We're 98, so in the top 100 of schools. That's unheard of for a school that started out as basically, how can we build vocational techs to get out to the Space Coast? That's how you started that school. Now you've got a university that's the second largest in the country, which makes it really impersonal in some way. But if you can hack your way through that, and you're in computer science or engineering, which is the hard skill at UCF, you've got great opportunity. So that will not change the fact that somebody says, yeah, I'd like to go there. Okay, if somebody goes to Georgetown in Washington, if they want to work at the top law firm in New York, or Goldman Sachs, they're going to say yes. They're not going to stay in D.C., which is, a cool city we don't know. So I think we can't pay attention to that part. My concern is a different part of the attrition. It's the fact that we've really started to build. We've brought people in. People grew up. I'm not sure why we have that gap, the 5 to 10. I think part of it is people want something different, maybe, and they get an offer from someplace else. By the way, I think the person I talked to today is looking to come back here, right? So he's in Brooklyn and he loves it. And he left because what he was looking for in terms of a community and a culture wasn't here. And then went, wait a minute, I can maybe start that here. I think that's part of what we want to try to encourage. So the answer is, right now, we need to draw people in because we haven't turned out enough in the last 5 years to fill that gap. And we're losing some of it. We also have to consider how we present ourselves, communicate ourselves to other communities of young developers, for example, or engineers, to say why they want to. But that's a company. That's what companies have to do as well as the city. And that means when they get here, welcome them, folks. I mean, I do know a lot of people. Jim Thomas tells the story all the time. He's from LA, or Southern California. And he actually shopped cities. He went to Denver, Austin. The last place he thought he wanted to live was Orlando, until he got there. Now that's not in the tech world, but somebody who was a business development guy with a strong tech component of that, and policy. That was his interest. But why would that person come to Orlando? Because he really found a great, neat things going on, very accessible. He could walk almost anywhere downtown. I think that helps. And that's what we're trying to do. I mean, that's not, I didn't say anything about work, did I? So it's that environment that we're building.
Well, Diane will be here for a few more minutes. If you liked the pizza and beer, it's all thanks to Pavel. He runs iTunes. He is the or have issues with your current IT, or just learn with me, just talk to him. Grab your free co-working day from Dennis. So Tech Week is October 9th.
Well, unless if you're a Python snake, it starts Saturday, the 7th. Otherwise, it's the 9th to the 14th. Starts with smart cities and a leadership program on inclusion that matters to you also. Demo day, these are our programs. There's more on the schedule. Demo day on Wednesday, Thursday. Oh wait, I'm not sure when we're going to have, when's fun?
Hopefully on Wednesday.
Okay, so Wednesday, yeah, so fun, is everybody know what fun is?
If you've never been, the PG version is Fun Nights, but it's called Fuck Up Nights. You have 3 starters, founders, CEOs, and they talk about a fuck up that they've had in your business. It's a fun format. I think it's like 12 slides in 7 minutes, so it goes quickly with
Like
3
any
slides. And it's very entertaining, and they get very transparent when they get to have that much fun. So if you've never been to one, I highly recommend.
I do too, absolutely. So if you're not interested in seeing demos, absolutely be here, or the other way around. You know, come to the demos or come to fun. Unfortunately, they're going to be on the same night, but we figured there was only so much overlap. So make a choice. We'll do both again, so you'll get to come to another. But that's kind of the idea of, that's why I wanted to get to that one, is that's kind of the idea of Tech Week anyway. I hope you have to make lots of choices, right? There are going to be a number of lunch and learns, brown bags, that are going on the schedule now. So I will try to get every meetup. If you are part of a meetup and it's not on the schedule, please tell me if it's happening that week. We also have teas and pies. We did teas, and we're doing it as a combo with Nerd Night. I do charge for teas and pies, but that really gets you a drink ticket, because they don't charge at Nerd Night. Nerd Night's a lot of fun. It is really wacky. Wonderful stories that people tell about all kinds of things that you never thought you wanted to know about, but realize you do.
My 2 favorite things, drinking and drinking. So
Right.
Drink beer, listen to people tell weird things about
So
something
cool.
they've been nerding out about.
And then we'll have a tea, we'll have that teas, you must wear tea. And then we'll give you dots to choose the best teas you go around. And then Friday is Innovate Orlando. I want to say Innovation Academy, it's Innovate Orlando. This is using the adoption and application of emerging tech, disruptive tech. Think McKinsey if you're geeky like that, or business type like that. World Economic Forum as well. Machine learning, VR, AI, IoT, all of those things across different sectors. I forgot to meet up on Tuesday night. Please come to our meetup. It's in conjunction with Power Innovators. Tuesday the 10th. We've got tech tours in the morning. They're going to be really cool. You can see them on the website. But the meetup is so great. We've got the head of telemedicine at Nemours. We have a woman, the psychologist Deborah Bidell, who's got a really great program out of UCF called Restore. It's treating PTSD with serious games. Okay, so using VR to treat PTSD, amazing results that they're getting. So you don't have to be a doctor or a healthcare professional. This is really great. How are the technologies that are just coming out that we're all kind of interested in different ways? How are they being applied across, in this case, healthcare, and then Friday it's other business sectors? Okay. Oh, I forgot, Roger Smith, he's the CTO of the Nicholson Center, where we're going to tour on Tuesday morning, among others. But he's really great because he will tell everybody about the amazing research and technology and training that they are doing down in Celebration in Florida Hospital. They've got the latest Da Vinci robot. They train in protocols. They also the use of sort of the newest devices that are non-invasive or invasive. Simulation. They do a lot of great simulation training. They have 3 simulation labs. So that your doctor gets it right when he goes in for that pancreas.
I hope so. But thank you for coming, guys. Please grab more pizza and beer. And last Tuesday of every month, start Friday.